Most people assume their money problems come down to one thing. They don't earn enough. And so they spend years chasing more income, a better job, a side hustle, a raise, believing that once the number goes up, everything else will fall into place. But here's what the research on money psychology actually shows. Income is almost never the real problem. The people who quietly build real, lasting wealth over decades, they don't earn dramatically more than everyone else. In most cases, the gap between them and the average person isn't income at all. It's how they think about money. Today, we're going to look at 7 specific money psychology mistakes, patterns that live inside your brain. They're silently working against your financial future. And I'd be surprised if at least 3 of these don't feel uncomfortably familiar. Stay with me through number 4. Most people have never heard of it by name, but almost everyone has made this mistake. Hey, I'm Joshua, and this channel is about one thing: understanding how money responds to human behavior. We talk about the psychology behind saving, investing, and building income slowly, especially the kind that rewards patience over time. No hype, no shortcuts, just clear thinking and better financial habits. And if this way of thinking about money resonates with you, consider subscribing, because here we focus on the habits and mindset that help money grow quietly over time. Now let's go into those 7 money psychology mistakes that are silently keeping you broke. The first mistake has a name in behavioral finance. It's called present bias. And it's the reason saving feels so difficult, even when you know you should. Here's what it means. Your brain naturally assigns more value to things that are happening right now than to things that will happen in the future. Not a little more value, significantly more. When you think about investing $300 this month, your brain doesn't picture a future reward. It pictures $300 that you don't have right now. Something you're giving up. Something you're losing. So it resists. This isn't a willpower problem. It's not a discipline problem. It's biology. The fix isn't motivation. The fix is removing the decision entirely. When money moves to your investment account automatically, before your brain gets to weigh in, present bias loses its power. The most effective financial habit isn't the most exciting one. It's automation. Mistake number 2 is closely related, but shows up in a different, more damaging way. Psychologists Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky spent decades studying how people make financial decisions. One of their most important findings was this: the pain of losing money is roughly twice as powerful as the joy of gaining the same amount. Losing $500 doesn't feel like the opposite of gaining $500. It feels worse, much worse. This is called loss aversion, and it is responsible for one of the most expensive mistakes in investing. Selling when the market drops. When a portfolio falls 20%, the psychological pain is intense. And the natural response, the human response, is to stop the pain, to sell, to get out. But here's the problem. The investors who quietly build the most wealth are almost never the ones who reacted fastest. They're the ones who stayed still the longest. The market has recovered from every single downturn in its history, but it can only work for you if you stay in it. Mistake number 3 is the Dunning-Kruger effect. Imagine someone who starts investing for the first time. The market is doing well. Their first 3 picks go up. Maybe they even outperform the index for a few months. Something starts to shift in how they see themselves. They start to feel less like a beginner and more like someone who understands this, someone who has a feel for it. This is the Dunning-Kruger effect, the documented psychological tendency to overestimate your skill level when your experience is still limited. And in investing, that overconfidence is expensive. It leads to taking on more risk than is reasonable, trading more frequently, moving away from steady, compounding positions into something more exciting. The investors most at risk from this mistake aren't the ones who know nothing. They're the ones who know just enough to feel confident, but not yet enough to understand what they don't know. A few good months in a rising market doesn't mean your strategy is working. It might just mean the market was rising. Mistake number 4 is social comparison. This is the mistake I mentioned at the start. And it's the one most people have never given a name to, even though they've felt it almost every day. Here's how it works. Your neighbor buys a new car. A friend posts about their vacation. Someone at work mentions a renovation they're doing. You don't consciously think I need to do that too. But something happens in the background. Your financial decisions quietly shift, not toward your goals, but toward matching what you see around you. Psychologists call this social comparison. And in a world of social media and visible consumption, it has never been more powerful. The damage isn't always obvious. It rarely shows up as one big mistake. It shows up as a slightly larger car payment than necessary. A home that stretched the budget a little further than was wise. A lifestyle that leaves less room for investing than you intended. The quiet truth is this. Most people aren't comparing their portfolio to the market. They're comparing their lifestyle to their neighbors. And that comparison is costing them more than almost anything else. If this is resonating, consider subscribing. I dish out new videos on money psychology, financial habits every week. You don't have to miss out. Okay. Mistake number 5 is mental accounting. Here's a question worth sitting with. Do you treat a tax refund the same way you treat your regular paycheck? Most people don't. A tax refund or a bonus or a gift tends to feel like a different kind of money. Lighter money. Money that came unexpectedly, so it doesn't have to follow the same rules. This is called mental accounting. And it's the reason people who would never spend recklessly from their salary will happily blow a bonus on something they'd normally never buy. The psychological trap is treating money differently based on where it came from. But money doesn't know where it came from. $1 from your paycheck and $1 from a tax refund have identical purchasing power. They compound at the same rate. They work equally hard inside an investment account. The moment you start labeling certain money as free or extra, that's the moment mental accounting begins quietly undermining your financial plan. Action bias is mistake number 6. When something goes wrong, or when things feel uncertain, there is a powerful human instinct to do something. To act, to respond, to fix it. This instinct works well in most areas of life. In investing, it is one of the most expensive habits you can have. Markets move constantly. Headlines create urgency. And when volatility spikes, the pressure to respond, to make a change, to protect yourself, can feel overwhelming. But study after study in behavioral finance shows the same result. The average investor would have been better off doing nothing. This is action bias. The urge to act, even when inaction is the right choice. Warren Buffett once described his ideal holding period as forever. That's not a passive strategy. That's a deliberate resistance to action bias, a decision to let time do the work that most people try to do by trading. Sometimes the highest quality financial decision you will make in a given month is to open your account, look at your portfolio, and close it without changing a single thing. The 7th and the last mistake is outcome bias. And it's the one that quietly damages long-term thinking more than almost anything else. Imagine 2 investors. The first one puts money into a speculative stock based on a rumor. It goes up. They make money. The second one builds a diversified, research-backed portfolio with a clear long-term strategy. That quarter, the market dips. They show a small loss on paper. Most people, if they're being honest, will judge the first investor's decision as the smarter one. Because it worked. This is outcome bias. Judging the quality of a decision based on what happened, rather than on whether the reasoning was sound. It's a dangerous pattern because it teaches you the wrong lessons. When a risky, impulsive decision pays off, your brain files it as evidence that the approach works. And when a patient, well-reasoned decision has a bad quarter, your brain questions it, even if the logic was exactly right. The quality of a financial decision isn't determined by what happened in the next 3 months. It's determined by whether the reasoning behind it was sound. Good decisions can have bad short-term outcomes. Bad decisions can accidentally make money. Don't confuse the result with the reasoning. So here's where we land. 7 mistakes. 7 patterns that have nothing to do with how much you earn and everything to do with how your brain is wired. Present bias keeps you in the present when your wealth lives in the future. Loss aversion makes you sell exactly when you should hold. Overconfidence shows up just early enough to be dangerous. Social comparison quietly redirects your money toward appearance rather than assets. Mental accounting makes some money feel free when it isn't. Action bias keeps you moving when stillness would serve you better. And outcome bias teaches you the wrong lessons from the right decisions. None of these are character flaws. They're human, they're predictable, and more importantly, they're workable. Because the first step to overcoming a bias is knowing it's there. The investors who build real wealth over time aren't the ones who feel no fear or no temptation. They're the ones who recognize those feelings and choose not to be directed by them. If you found this useful, the next video goes deeper into one of the most misunderstood forces in long-term wealth building. I think it'll change how you see your financial future. I'll see you there.